Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Prof. Dr. Safrizal, SPD, SPD, respectable presenter, and all distinguished participants. So, welcome to our today's seminar on innovating English language teaching for the 21st century learners. Proudly present by a student of Class 6B English Education Department from Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa. So I am Ahmad Sulaiman and my two partners Estahria Agustin and Mesa Maulidha have the pleasure to being your moderator for today's session. So without further ado, let's try to the first presenter. Uh, for Elda Mulyanti, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here today to present our research on the influence of watching English movies on English language learning. This study explores how incorporating English language film into the language learning process can significantly enhance students' speaking abilities, including their vocabulary, pronunciation, fluency, and confidence. Okay, next slide. Yeah, let's begin with a quick overview of the topics I will cover today. First, I will give you the background of the study, then introduce you with the problems. Next, give you the objectives, the key goals of the study, and then the literature review to give you the previous research. Then I will hop on the methodology to know how the study was conducted. Then I will give you the results are the main finding from the analysis, and finally the conclusion. Okay, the ability to English, this is background. The ability to speak English is crucial in today's global, impacting both academic success and career opportunities. However, many students struggle with speaking English, especially when it comes to fluency, pronunciation, and confidence. A key reason for this challenge is the lack of immersive language practice, which is essential for real world communication. Next slide. This is the problem. Okay, let's break down the problem into two main points. The first is struggle with fluency, pronunciation, and confidence. Many students face difficulty in speak English firmly, pronouncing words correctly, and feeling confident when communicating. Traditional methods often focus on memorization, grammar, and vocabulary. And the second problem is limited to real-world language exposure. Conventional language classes tend to rely heavily on textbooks, which can lead to disengagement and a lack of authentic language application. Students may not feel motivated to practice speaking English outside the classroom, limiting their exposure to real-world conversation. This connection and this disconnected often hinders their ability to use the language confident and effectively in everyday situation. Okay, the next slide. Research objective. Let's dive into the objective. So this study seeks to explore the following objects. First is to explore the impact of English language usage in film and media on language learning. This objective focuses on investigating how exposure to English language movies enhances vocabulary acquisition, pronunciation, and conversational fluency. By watching movie, students are exposed to the natural rhythms, in intonation, and colloquial expression used in every communication. The second is to examine the effective of active versus passive movie watching. Another key objective is to compare the effect of active engagement, such as shadowing, not talking or discussing the film, versus passive film simply watching the film on student language retention. Next is let's to the literature review. Okay, several students have highlight the positive impact of English language on learning. Here are some of all the literary reviews I used to conduct the study. First is research by Wardani 2022 and Sahid 2022 showed that watching English language movie provides a real world exposure to language, improving student vocabulary, idiomatic expression, and pronunciation. The second is techniques such as shadowing, mimic, and dialogue from the movie and participating in post-viewing discussion significantly improve student fluency and intonation as then demonstrated by Jin 2023. Third is subtitle can help understanding, but they should be used careful so students don't become to depend on them. This is a research by Riswanto 2022 and Effendi 2023. The last is Yusuf at 2021 found that uh, watching English language films can boost students' confidence in speaking and reduce language anxiety, which is crucial for effective communication. Next is methodology. For this study, a literature review method was used. We collected data from academic database such as GSTOR, Google Scholar, and Scopus, focusing on studies related to language acquisition and media use in language learning. Next, the result. Let's now look at the 6 key results of the study. The first result is the role of movies in language acquisition. The second result is improvement in vocabulary acquisition. The third result is pronunciation accuracy and conversational fluency. Sorry. And the fourth is active versus passive movie watching. The result five is the impact of subtitles on learning. The sixth is result best practice for integrating films into language learning curricula. Okay, next. Okay. To conclude, English language films are an effective tool for improving speaking abilities, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Active movie watching methods, including shadowing and discussion, contribute significantly to better fluency and confidence in speaking. The integration of film into language learning curricula can complement traditional teaching methods by providing an impressive, culturally relevant experience. The approach not only helps in language acquisition but also boosts student motivation and reduce anxiety, fostering a more engaging and effective learning. Can we back to the slide before? Okay. You can see a lot of audience. You can see the result, 6 result, best practices for integrating films into language learning curricula. What I said before, integration of the curriculum research recommended to use film as component of their lesson plans as attractive technique promote deeper learning and increase engagement. Second is selection of appropriate films. Teachers must make sure that the movies that select correspond to the skill levels of their student. And the third is gradual subtitle use. As the language proficiency increases, students can start by watching movies with English subtitle and progress lessen their reliance on them. And the fourth is shadowing technique. As we mentioned earlier, um, by using this strategy, learners can improve their pronunciation and intonation by carefully imitating native speaker. And the last is facilitating discussion. Student comprehension and language use can be strengthened by holding talks about the movie subject matter uh, after they've seen it. Okay. Next slide. Okay. If there is not that, I'll back to the moderator. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the best presenting, Elda. So, in the presentation of the influence of watching English movie on English language learning, watching English language movie significantly enhance learner speaking skill, vocabulary acquisition and pronunciation. Active engagement techniques such as shadowing and discussion boost fluency, confidence, and retention more effective than passive viewing. Additionally, strategic use of subtitle can aid comprehension and pronunciation, although overreliance should be avoided. Overall, integrating a movie into a language learning curricula offers enjoyable. So it is immersive and effective supplement to traditional teaching method. Going to the next presenter from Aisha. For Aisha, time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, moderator. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Aisandra Faiza with studio number 222-322-0058, and I am here as the presenter to explain a research that I have been conducting with my partner, Estalia Agustin Erotada, with her studio numbers 222-322-0052. And I am delighted to have the opportunity to present our research with the title Challenges of Implementing English as the Medium of Instruction in Indonesian EFL Classroom, a Sociolinguistic Perspective. This is a timely and relevant topic, especially as Indonesian moves toward greater internationalization in education and more schools begin to use English teach. Next slide, please. And this is our table of contents. Today, I will walk you through the background of this study, the methodology employed, the key findings, and the implication of these findings. Next slide, please. So, English as a medium of instruction, or EMI, is the practice of using English to teach academic subjects like science, history, or math. This practice is growing around the world, including in Indonesia. In theory, EMI helps students improve their English skills while learning content. It also connects them with global knowledge, increases competitiveness, and prepares them to international opportunities. However, in reality, especially in Indonesia public schools, implementing EMI is not so simple. There there are so many challenges, especially in the terms of language readiness, classroom interaction, and even cultural identity. This is why a sociolinguistic perspective is important. It helps us understand not just the language used in the class, but also the social and cultural effects EMI has on both students and teachers. Next slide. In our study, we focus on four main research questions. The first one is, what are the main sociolinguistic challenges in implementing EMI at Junior High School 1 Serang? And how do students and teachers perceive using EMI in teaching and learning at Junior High School 1 Serang? 3. How does EMI impact student comprehension and participation at Junior High School 1 Serang? And the last, what strategies can be used to improve the implementation of EMI at Junior High School 1 Serang? Next slide is our research uh, purpose, our research objective. The first one is we want to analyze the social-linguistic challenges in EFL classroom face in implementing EMI at Junior High School 1 Serang. The second is to understand how students and teachers perceive using EMI in teaching and learning at Junior High School 1 Serang. The third one is to explore the impact of EMI on student learning experiences and academic performance at Junior High School 1 Serang. And the last one is to explore the most suitable strategies to use to improve the implementation of EMI in Junior High School 1 Serang. Next is our literature review. Let's look at some key theories that help us frame this study. The first one is the definition and theoretical perspective on EMI. First, EMI is defined as using English to teach subject in countries where English is not the first language. According to Jordan 2014 and Macaro in 2018, EMI is not only about improving English but also about delivering academic content in English. From a sociolinguistic lens, EMI is more than language policy. It influences identity, classroom interaction, global aspiration are more likely to engage with EMI, but their success still depends on confidence and comprehension. And now we look to the previous research in EMI in multilingual context. The first one we have Parmeta et al. At 2023 showed that using local language helps students understand better this, and they support flexible EMI approaches. The second is Rivianti and Dewi research in 2023 found that many Indonesian lecturers lack training in EMI and it's causing inconsistency. And the last one is we have Dang Bonar and Yo research in 2023 emphasized that teacher training must go beyond just English skill. It, it should focus on classroom strategies and EMI pedagogy. And next is our research methodology. We conduct this research in SMPN 1 Kota Serang in a EFL classroom that implied EMI, and we use qualitative research with study case as the method, and the participant is the 8th grade student and one English teacher. For the instrument, we use interview uh, to with to to insist the deeper insight, and we use classroom observation to analyze the real language use. We also use thematical analysis to identify key patterns and theme in the data. Next slide. This is our key findings. First one, student limited English proficiency significantly limited their understanding and participation in EMI-based lesson. Code switching and translanguaging are effectively used by teachers as scaffolding strategies to bridge language gaps. A student experience communication anxiety, which lowers their willingness to speak or participate in English. Teacher lack formal EMI training led them to rely on experiences based on adaptive method without international guidance. And let's begin our discussion with the main social linguistic challenges. Yep. One of the biggest issue is the gap between student English proficiency and the expectation of EMI. At SMPN 1 Kota Serang, for example, most students are beginner in English. They use Bahasa Indonesia and sometimes Sundanese in daily life. So when teachers speak in English, they often do not understand. This leads to what we call language hierarchy, when English becomes a high status language while Bahasa Indonesia is seen as less academic. This creates pressure on students and many feel discouraged. Moreover, student feels disconnected when English-only policies are used. For them, it's like sitting in a class but not learning anything. Teachers also feel this gap. The teacher that we have interviewed said that if I use too much English, students just stay silent. So we can see that EMI without proper support creates barriers and instead of bridge. Now let's talk about perception. Next slide. Most students actually want to learn English. They see it as important for their future and international jobs, but they also feel nervous and insecure. One of students told us, I like it when the teacher speaks in English, but I don't understand everything. Sometimes I just guess the meaning. And the other said, I know the answer in Bahasa Indonesia, but I don't know how to say it in English, so I stay quiet. These responses show a conflict between motivation and anxiety. And on the teacher side, they support EMI in theory, but in practice, they lack training and institutional support. Many teachers have never received any professional development for EMI. The teacher said, I just try what works. I asked another teachers, but honestly, we need training. This highlights the need for structured preparation. Next discussion is about what does this mean for student learning, the impact on learning. A student with English low English can often struggle to understand lessons. They become passive, and the classroom discussion become one-side communication. Participation goes down, and student fear making a mistake or being loud at. Even if they understand the material, they don't always have the English words to express this thought. But here is something interesting. When teachers do code switching or code mixing, they switch between English and Indonesia. The student will feel more comfortable. This shows that bilingual teaching is not a weakness. It can be strength, especially in multilingual societies like in Indonesia. Next slide, please. So, what can be done from our findings? There are three strategies that can help improve EMI in Indonesia classroom. The first one is adopt flexible and gradual EMI models. Rather than forcing full English, we recommend gradual approaches. Start with mixed language instruction and slowly increase English exposure. This can reduce stress and improve learning. The second is promote translanguaging as a valid pedagogical practice. We can allow students and teacher to use both English and Bahasa Indonesia to build understanding. It is not a failure, it's a teaching strategy that respects student linguistic backgrounds. And the last one is provide professional development for the teacher. Teacher needs special training not only just in English, but in how to teach subject in English. Institutions should also create a clear guidelines and support system for EMI implementation. Because without this support, teachers are left to experiment on their own. This can lead to inconsistency and inequality in the classroom. Next slide, please. In our conclusion, EMI has great potential. It can help students develop English skill while learning important academic subjects. But to succeed, we must understand the social linguistic context. Indonesia is a multilingual country. Students come from different language backgrounds, so we cannot use a one-size-fits-all models. We must recognize that student needs support emotionally, linguistically, and pedagogically. By using flexible methods, code switching strategies, and also teacher training, EMI can become more inclusive and effective. And let's not forget, language is not just a tool, it's also identity, culture, and power. If we ignore this, we can risk leaving students behind. And our suggestion for future research is that the researcher can conduct a longitudinal studies to explore the long-term impact on EMI on student achievement and language development in diverse Indonesian context. And they can explore student identity and emotional responses to EMI through ethnographic or narrative research to deepen understanding of learning experience. Thank you for listening. I hope this presentation has provided insight on both promises and the problem of EMI. Back to the moderator to open the discussion session. I'm happy to take any question that you may have. Thank you.
Alright, thank you, Aisha. So, any question for Aisha presentation? So, it's like there is no question. So, for Aisha presentation, challenge of implementing English as a medium of instruction in Indonesian EFL classroom, sociolinguistic perspective. So, this study reveals that implementing English as a medium of instruction (EMI) in Indonesian junior high school faces a significant sociolinguistic challenge, including student low English proficiency, communication anxiety, and teachers lack of EMI specific training. So, despite student positive attitude toward English, the use of EMI often reduce comprehension and participation. To address this issue, flexible EMI approaches, translation practice, and targeted the teacher training are recommended to support more inclusive and effective language instruction. Okay, going to the next presenter is Muhammad Herianto. For Muhammad Herianto, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Haryanto, and I will be the one to present our research titled "Assessing the Impact of Virtual Classroom on Student Performance in College." So this study explores how virtual learning, specifically using Google Meet and motivation, especially in learning English during the COVID-19 pandemic. Platforms like Google Meet became essential tools in academic settings. So without further ado, let's get into it. Next slide, please. So this is our list of content. So there are there are background of the study, problem and research question, research objective, virtual classroom overview, advantage of virtual classroom, disadvantage, why Google Meet, and the method we use, results and discussion, and conclusion for our discussion. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we get into the background of the study. So, the COVID-19 pandemic accelerated the integration of technology into education, leading to a shift from traditional classrooms to online learning environments. One of the most prominent platforms that emerged during this time was Google Meet, which became a vital tool for virtual learning. Its flexibility, accessibility, and user-friendly interface made it widely adopted in educational institutions. Additionally, Google Meet's compatibility with various devices and interactive features supported effective learning. Studies by researchers such as Cahyani and Suryaman have shown that Google Meet has a positive impact on student performance, proving that it is valuable and reliable tool for modern virtual education. Next slide, please. So we go into the problem and research question for our research. So this study focuses on identifying both of benefits and challenges of using Google Meet in educational settings. This research is guided by the following questions. The first one is, what are the advantages and challenges of using Google Meet for online learning? The second one is, how does Google Meet influence student engagement and learning outcomes? And the last one is, does Google Meet affect the performance of students in English learning? These questions aim to explore the role and effectiveness of Google Meet in supporting students' academic progress, particularly in English language learning. Next slide, please. Research objective. So the main objective of our study is to investigate the impact of using Google Meet as a virtual learning platform on the English language performance of college students in English Education Department FKIP Untirta. This research aims to determine whether Google Meet can enhance students' English skills, including speaking, vocabulary, and comprehension. Next slide, please. Okay, so we enter the overview of our study. So the overview for virtual classroom is an online learning environment where teachers and students can interact in real time through tools such as video conferencing, chat, and digital whiteboards. These classrooms are designed to simulate many aspects of traditional face-to-face learning while offering greater flexibility and accessibility. So, according to BT 2013, virtual classrooms extend learning in terms of time, location, and content. So, according according to also Chakiroglu, their synchronous nature allows for dynamic real-time interaction which can improve student engagement. Features like breakout rooms, live feedback, and shared screens make the learning experience more interactive and effective, according to Hamuda. So, as technology advances, virtual classrooms provide personalized and engaging education opportunities, especially for remote learners, while also helping them develop essential digital skills needed in today's world. Okay, so we go. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so we're going to the advantage of virtual classroom. So there are some advantages for virtual classroom. The first one is providing a different and varied learning experience. Virtual classroom introduces students to a wide range of learning methods and tools, offering diverse experience that differ significantly from traditional classroom-based instruction. By incorporating multimedia elements such as videos, interactive quizzes, animation, and eh, sim- virtual simulations, e-learning stimulates students' curiosity and encourages active engagement. This diversity in learning methods can captivate students' attention, making the learning process more dynamic and appealing, while in turn fosters a stronger interest in learning. The second one is enhancing student skills in information and communication technology, or ICT. Virtual classrooms plays a vital role in improving students' proficiency in information as and communication technology. As students navigate online platforms, use digital tools, and access various forms of digital content, they gain hands-on experience with technology. This exposure not only improves their technical skills, but also prepares them to adapt sorry, to the digital demands of 21st century workforce, where ICT skills are increasingly essential. The third one is creating an enjoyable learning environment. A significant advantage of virtual classroom is ability to create a fun and engaging learning atmosphere. By integrating gamification, interactive elements, and creative content, e-learning transforms the educational process into enjoyable experience. The last one is facilitating learning anytime and anywhere. One of the most significant benefits of a virtual classroom is its flexibility. Unlike traditional classroom settings, virtual classroom enables students and teachers to connect and communicate regardless of their physical location, whether in home, at the library, or on the go. Students can access lessons and resources at any time that suits their schedule. Okay, next slide, please. The disadvantages. Even though virtual classroom has its own advantages, it has also their own disadvantages. Like the first one is limited interaction between educators and students or among students. One significant advantage of virtual classroom is reduced face-to-face interaction between teachers and students as well as among peers. Unlike traditional classrooms where direct physical presence fosters immediate engagement, virtual classrooms may struggle to replicate the same level of interpersonal connection. The second one is changing role of educators. The shift to virtual classrooms requires educators to adapt to new teaching methods that rely on digital tools and technology. Teachers who were once proficient in conventional teaching techniques must now develop skills in operating computers, managing virtual platforms, and integrating technology into their instructional practices. Okay, next one is challenges for students with low motivation. Virtual classrooms demand a high degree of self-discipline and motivation from students. Learners who lack intrinsic motivation or struggle with managing their time independently are more likely to disengage, fall behind, or even fail in a virtual learning environment. The absence of close supervision can exacerbate these challenges, making it difficult for some students to stay on track. The last one is unequal access to internet facilities. A significant drawback of virtual classrooms is their reliance on internet connectivity. Not all regions, particularly rural or underdeveloped areas, have reliable internet infrastructure. Students from these areas may face disruptions, limiting their ability to participate in virtual classes consistently. This digital divided this digital divide creates unequal opportunities for students based on their geographic location. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? Why Google Meet? So why we choose Google Meet is because Google Meet is a video conferencing application designed for virtual communication and collaboration. Its primary functions include hosting meetings, conducting webinars, and facilitating online teaching and learning activities. Google Meet is also integrated into the Google Workspace suite, and users who subscribe to the premium services of Google Workspace gain access to advanced features not available in the free version. These additional features enhance the overall user experience, making the platform more versatile for professional and educational purposes. The use of Google Meet has become particularly prominent during the COVID-19 pandemic, serving as a vital tool for online learning and communication as a relatively new platform for education. Its implementation requires significant adaptation from various stakeholders. So, in addition to teachers, parents also play a crucial role in supporting students during home-based learning. Parents must provide guidance, encouragement, and resources to help their children adapt to the virtual learning environment. This collaborative effort between teachers, parents, and students is essential for the success of online education. The Google Meet interface is a user-friendly, enabling direct and efficient virtual face-to-face interactions. Its lightweight design smooth performance and allows it to accommodate a large numbers of participants without significant technical issues. Key features of Google Meet include the ability to host an unlimited number of meetings, uh, live captioning for better accessibility, compatibility with multiple devices, real-time video and audio previews, and customizable layouts and screen settings. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? So we go to the methodology. So what method do we use to conduct our research? To address the research objective and gather the necessary data, a quantitative research method was utilized. So we use quantitative method for this research. This approach was deemed suitable for answering the research question systematically and effectively. The use of quantitative research allows for a structured and empirical explanation of the problem at hand. So, this research is conducted at FKIP Untirta Ciwaru. The participant is this study are the participant in the study are 10 students from 22nd generation students of English department FKIP Untirta, divided into two groups. The first one is an experimental group and a control group. The experimental group will receive the treatment or intervention while being studied, while a control group will follow the standard learning process without the intervention. This division aims to compare the outcomes between the two groups to evaluate the effectiveness of the intervention. So to assess the impact of using Google Meet as a virtual classroom on student learning outcomes, we use pre-test, post-test, motivation, and speaking assessments. The pre-test will The pretest will be administered to both the experimental and control groups before the introduction of Google Meet as the virtual learning platform. The purpose of this test is to evaluate the students' initial understanding and proficiency in the subject matter while being studied. The pretest will include multiple choice questions, short answer questions, and possibly practical tasks related to the content that will be taught. After the intervention, which involves using Google Meet for virtual classroom activities, a post-test will be administered to both the experimental and control groups. This test will be identical in format to the pre-test and will assess the same content area. The post-test aims to measure any improvements in the student's knowledge, skills, and engagement as a result of participating in the virtual classroom. The comparison between the pre-test and post-test results will help determine the effectiveness of using Google Meet for online learning and its impact on student learning outcomes. These tests will measure students' knowledge, skills, and engagement before and after the intervention, providing a clear indication of any changes resulting from the virtual learning experience. Next slide, please. The results and discussion from our research. So the first one is the improvement in student performance. The results from the pre-test and post-test indicated a notable advancement in the academic achievement of students who engage in virtual classes through Google Meet. This progress is influenced by various elements This progress is influenced by various elements of the online learning environment. The self-paced nature of virtual learning also empowers students to manage their own learning more comfortably, reducing stress and increasing concentration. This performance gap between two groups highlights the effectiveness of Google Meet as a learning medium. In conclusion, this study reinforced the idea that well-managed virtual classroom can play a significant role in boosting student achievement, especially in language learning, where consistent practice and exposure are key. The second result and discussion is increased student motivation and engagement. The incorporation of Google Meet into the educational process brought a noticeable improvement in the students' enthusiasm and participation. The integrations of multimedia elements like videos, graphics, and interactive presentations provided visual aids that enhanced understanding and made lessons more enjoyable. As a result, students found the learning content more relatable and interesting, which in turn increased their motivation. Okay, next discussion is the role of Google Meet feature. Google Meet contributed significantly to enriching the learning process by offering various tools that supported both instructors and students in an online setting. Among the most effective tools was on the screen sharing option, which let education show slides, play instructional videos, and visually explain grammar and vocabulary. This feature helps sustain students. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So let's jump to the conclusion. So the conclusion for our research is this study shows that Google Meet in virtual classroom positively impacts students' academic performance, motivation, and engagement. Learners in the experimental groups showed significant improvement in speaking skills, vocabulary, and confidence compared to those in traditional classes. Features like screen sharing, breakout rooms, chat, and recordings made learning interactive and flexible, allowing students to review lessons and participate comfortably. Multimedia content and at-home learning boosted enthusiasm, especially for shy students. However, challenges like unstable internet, digital literacy gaps, and reduced face-to-face interaction remain. Schools must provide training and support to maximize virtual learning potential, making it a lasting tool for education. Okay, I think that's all from our group, and I think feel free to ask any question. I will happy to answer it.
Alright, so is there any question for Dianto's performance? Looks like there is no uh, question. Orianto, can you read?
Okay, okay. So I think that's all from our group, and thank you everyone for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah,
Back to the
waalaikumsalam.
moderator.
So from Yanto presentation is assessing of the impact of virtual classroom on student performance in college. So this study concludes that virtual classroom, particularly using Google Meet, significantly improve a college student academic performance, engagement, and motivation in learning English. Feature like screen sharing, breakout rooms, and recorded listen enhance understanding and participation, especially for shy or less confident learners. Despite challenges such as internet access and limit face-to-face interaction, virtual learning can provide to be effective and flexible educational tool when it sur- in it support by a proper training and infrastructure. So for the next presentation will be accompanied by my friends Meisa Maulida. For Meisa, you can take the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ahmad. Hey everyone, my name is Maisa Moliha as the second moderator. Now I will be taking over to continue guiding us through the rest of today's seminar. Thank you very much to the previous presenter for their insightful presentation. Now let's us invite to the next group. I would like to invite Kyla Putri Nabila from Group 1 to present their research title, Exploring the Effectiveness of Group Discussion in Enhancing English Speaking Skill, a Qualitative Study. For Kyla, the time is yours.
Alright. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to present our research paper at this seminar. The title of our study is Exploring the Effectiveness of Group Discussion in Enhancing English Speaking Skills. I am Kayla Putri Nabila, presenting on behalf of my friend Safaria. So now let's walk to what this presentation will cover. Next slide, please. Okay, to guide today's session, here's the outline of this presentation. I will begin with the introduction, followed by problem formulation, the objective, literature review, methodology, finding, conclusion, suggestion, and the last Q&A. Okay, let's begin with a brief introduction to the background of the study. Next slide, please. Okay, firstly, one of the most common challenges faced by EFL learner is speaking skill, speaking English fluently and confidently. Although many students have a basic understanding of vocabulary and grammar, they often hesitate or become unserious when they asked to speak, especially in public or formal settings. Furthermore, speaking is a vital component of communication. It is skill that enables students to express their thoughts and participate actively in both academic and real-life contexts. So, however, despite its importance, speaking is frequently neglected in classroom practice. Traditional language teaching method often prioritize reading and writing, while speaking activities are limited, which can prevent how group discussion for students from developing spontaneous oral communication skill. So in response to this problem, this study considered group discussion as a promising strategy. Therefore, this study aims to explore how group discussion can be implemented effectively to enhance students' speaking performance. Next slide. Okay, this study aims to answer 5 core questions. The first is, how do group discussion improve English speaking skill? And the second is, what challenges do students face? And the third is, how do students perceive this method? And fourth is, which aspect of speaking are improved the most? And the last is, what factor influence students' engagement in discussion? And next is the objective of the study. Next slide, please. Yeah. In line with those questions, the objective of our study are to examine the effect of group discussion on speaking skill, to identify student challenges, to explore student perception, and to analyze which aspects are most improved, and to investigate motivational and contextual factor influencing participation. And the next agenda is literature review. Okay, so this is literature review which provide the theoretical foundation of our study. To begin with, speaking is widely recognized as a productive language skill, as emphasized by Brown 2004. This means that speaking not only requires learner to produce language accurately and fluently, but also demands the ability to organize thought and respond spontaneously in real life. And in addition, the literature also highlights the pedagogical value of group discussion in supporting speaking development. According to Johnson and Johnson, group discussion fosters collaborative and interactive learning. It creates a setting where students do not learn in isolation but engage with one another and share ideas. And moreover, this is the Fairview research support its role in enhancing language performance by Richard and Harmer. They argue that such activity provide learner with opportunity for meaningful of use language, allowing them to practice fluently and build confidence in low pressure context. Next slide, please. Now, let me explain the methodology we use on this research. We use qualitative descriptive for an approach. The participant is 22 students at SMIN 1 Binuang, and the instrument we use open-ended questionnaires. For the data analysis, we use Brown and Clark, which is half six-page process purpose that for the data analysis that we use. Next slide. Okay, so this is the finding for our research. As you can see on the chart, the most frequently mentioned them was perceived effectiveness, and followed by closely by fluency, confidence, and followed by grammar and vocabulary and peer interaction. While challenges were mentioned less frequently, they remain significant understanding the barrier to implementation. Next slide. I will explain the finding. First of all, the majority of participants reported that group discussion significantly enhanced their speaking skill. One of the students note, I got used to speak English without needing to translate first. This line with Cranston input hypothesis, which agree that learner develop fluency when exposed to comprehensible, meaningful input in interactive setting. And the next is challenges during group discussion. Some struggle with dominant group members, others find it difficult to express complex idea or stay focused on the topic. One participant commented sometimes someone is too dominant, it feels like uncomfortable speaking. As Brown suggests, assigning speaking turns or role can help ensure more balanced participation. Next finding. All right, so next is student perception. They describe it as an enjoyable, practical, and effective learning method that made them more motivated to speak in English. When students say discussion is more exciting than regular practice, it makes me more eager to speak. This perception confirms the effectiveness of communicative language teaching. And the next is the specific skill improve. There are fluency, grammar accuracy, and vocabulary. These support both Fioskai's sociocultural theory, especially the concept of zone of proximal development and Cranston affective filter hypothesis. Next. Okay, the next finding is motivational and contextual factor. The topic were interesting and relevant. The group were supportive. The classroom atmosphere was relaxed and reinforces the idea that affective factors such as motivation, topic familiarity, and social support play a crucial role in speaking performance. Next slide. Okay, so this is the conclusion from our research. Group discussion is highly effective strategy for enhancing English speaking proficiency among the high school student. First, it helps students develop fluency by providing consistent opportunity in right time speaking. Second, it supports the development of grammatical accuracy and vocabulary, especially through peer correction and contextual use. Third is it boosts student confidence by creating a supportive low anxiety environment for communication. Fourth, it's reflective. It facilitates peer interaction, which is central for robotic learning and reflective language use. Furthermore, most students perceive group discussion as both enjoyable and effective, indicating that this method also promote higher motivation with willingness to communicate despite some challenges such as unequal participant and occasional off-topic conversations. Students overwhelmingly acknowledge its benefit. Next slide. Okay, so this is a suggestion. I will not read it, so you can see on the screen. And the next slide, please. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. I now welcome any question and feedback you may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the informative and well-structured presentation. We will now open for the question and answer session. If anyone from the audience has question or comments regarding to the presentation, please feel free to raise your hand or type them in the chat. Okay, so if there's no question, thank you for the presentation. Now I will read the conclusion. The presentation by group Group 1 has highlighted the significant role of group discussion in developing English speaking skills among high school students. Their study showed that such discussion not only enhanced fluency and accuracy, but also built students' confidence in a low anxiety environment. Despite some challenges like dominant participant or off topic conversation, students generally found um, the method enjoyable and motivating. This presentation reminds us of the importance of collaborative and communicative learning strategies in language classrooms. Well done to the presenters. Okay, so now let's move on to the next group. I would like to invite group 18 to present their research title, exploring the use of code switching in managing speaking anxiety among EFL learners, presented by Renita. Please begin your presentation. Renita, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. It is an honor for us, Group 18, that consists of me, Rinita Indawati, and my partner, Meisa Maulidha, to present our research at the seminar entitled Exploring the Use of Code Switching in Managing Speaking Anxiety Among EFL Learners. Before we get into the details, let me ask you this question. Have you ever felt nervous when speaking a language that isn't your first language? Okay, maybe you have even switched back to your native language without thinking, just to make yourself clear. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone, and that's exactly what our research is about. Without further ado, let's begin our journey into this research. Next slide, please. Well, in this section, we will explain the background of our study. As we know, speaking in English is one of the most challenging skills for EFL students, especially in formal situations such as presentation or class discussion. Many students feel anxious because they are afraid of making mistakes, lacking vocabulary, or worrying about being judged by teachers and friends. Under these circumstances, most students naturally use code switching strategies, switching from English to Bahasa Indonesia, especially when they have difficulty expressing a word or feel nervous. By code switching, they can maintain smooth communication and feel more emotionally comfortable. Through this study, we want to look further into how students actually use this strategy, both in spontaneous and structured contexts, and whether code switching is indeed effective in helping them overcome speaking anxiety. Next slide, please. Okay, next we will explain the formulation of the research question of this study. This study is motivated by the phenomenon of code switching that is often done by students when speaking in English. So we formulate three main questions. The first one is how frequently do EFL learners use code switching as a strategy to manage speaking anxiety? And second, in what ways does code switching help students manage vocabulary gaps and reduce anxiety during oral tests? And the third, what are the perceived benefits and drawbacks of code switching in reducing speaking anxiety? Next slide, please. After formulating this research question, we set three main objectives in this study. First, we want to analyze how often and in what kind of context EFL students use code switching to manage speaking anxiety. And second aim is to examine how effective code switching is in helping students deal with vocabulary difficulties and reduce anxiety. And lastly, we want to explore student perception of this strategy. By having achieved these three objectives, we hope that this research can provide a fuller picture of how code switching can be used strategically in English language learning, especially to help students with speaking anxiety. Next slide, please. Okay, now we will explain the literature review, which highlights five main areas that support our research on code switching and speaking anxiety among EFL learners. First, speaking anxiety.
often comes from fear of making mistakes, limited vocabulary, or being judged, especially in class. According to Horwitz et al. In 1986, this emotion can seriously block fluency. After the pandemic, this issue became more visible as students returned to offline learning, according to Avidewati et al. In 2024. Second, many learners manage this anxiety by using code switching, switching between first language and second language during communication, as Heinz in 1974 and Poplack in 1980. Explain that is common in multilingual settings and helps with comprehension and emotional relief. And the third, researchers like Duille and Wei in 2013 describe code switching as a coping strategy. It allows students to keep speaking when they feel stuck instead of freezing or giving up. And then fourth, vocabulary gaps are another anxiety trigger. When students forget words, they may stop speaking. But code switching acts as a bridge, helping them avoid communication breakdowns. But code switching acts as um, helping them avoid communication breakdowns, according to Soliha and Isaini in 2024. Lastly, many students view code switching positively. It makes them feel more comfortable and confident during speaking tests, according to Fatsa and Purnama in 2022. Uh, Next slide, please. Okay, now let me briefly explain some previous studies related to our topic. The first one is a thesis by Soliha and Isnaini in 2024. They explore how Indonesia EFL students perceive the use of code switching to reduce speaking anxiety. And second is by Ijudin Irianti and Rahmawati in 2021. Their research focused on the different rules of code switching in EFL speaking classes using a qualitative approach. And the next is a study by Nina in 2023 examine how code switching can help improve female student speaking skills. This research used a quantitative method with junior high school students. Lastly, Husni and Arianto in 2023 studied how Indonesian EFL teachers use code switching in upper secondary schools. These studies show that code switching is widely used and researched in both teaching and learning contexts, especially in relation to speaking performance and anxiety. Okay, in this slide, I would like to explain the methodology in this research. Boleh ke sebelumnya? Previous slide. Okay. Okay, thank you, Aisha. Okay, this study used a qualitative case study design. The focus how students use code switching to manage speaking anxiety in real classroom situation. We choose this method because we want to understand their personal experiences in a natural EFL setting. For the participant, we selected five English education students from the sixth semester at Universitas Sultan Ageng Tirtayasa. They were chosen using purposive sampling based on two main criteria. They had experienced speaking anxiety and they were known to use code switching during oral activities. These students were observed during presentation, class discussion, and speaking assessment. To collect the data, we used two main instruments, a semi-structured interview and classroom observation. The interview were open-ended, allowing students to talk freely about their experience and emotion related to speaking anxiety and code switching. Each interview lasts between 20 to 30 minutes and all were recorded and transcribed. We also conducted observation in real classroom settings. And this session lasts around 60 to 90 minutes each, and we complete 3 observation sessions in total. For data analysis, we use identifying key themes and interpreting the data based on repeated patterns and experiences shared by the participant. Next slide, please. Okay, the next is the result and discussion. From our interview and classroom observation, we identify four major themes, and here we will explain the first theme, which focuses on the role of code switching in managing speaking anxiety. Students share that they often feel nervous, blocked, or afraid of making mistakes, especially during speaking tasks like presentation or Q&A. In such moments, they use interstitial code switching, that is, switching to Bahasa Indonesia between sentences, to reduce pressure and stay fluent. They see code switching as a helpful coping strategy that used to reduce anxiety and increase comfort and clarifies their ideas. And supportive teachers also made them feel more confident. However, some students worried that overusing first language might slow their English development and limit vocabulary growth. And second theme, focus on frequency of code switching use. Code switching happens most often during high pressure tasks such as impromptu speaking or oral presentation. Students use it more spontaneously depending on how difficult the task was. Most of the switching was interstitial and the behavior was learner control. The third theme focused on managing vocabulary gaps and anxiety. When students forgot certain English words or feel stuck, they switch to first language to keep speaking. And the fourth theme is focused on perceived benefits and drawbacks. Students view code switching as helpful. It boosts confidence, clarifies meaning, and gives emotional support, and also especially when teachers were flexible. So while code switching has clear emotional and practical benefits, students also understand the importance of using it wisely and gradually shifting back to English as their skills develop. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Uh, Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay. Before we jump to the Q&A session, based on our findings, we conclude that code switching can be useful temporary strategy to manage anxiety and maintain fluency during speaking activities. We propose some recommendations for educators. The first, allow a limited and strategic use of code switching in speaking tasks, especially for beginner or advanced learners. And second, create a supportive classroom atmosphere that minimizes fear of judgment and encourage risk-taking in communication. And the last, use code switching purposely for grammar explanation, emotional encouragement, or to clarify difficult content. And for students, use code switching as a temporary aid, but gradually aim to express more ideas to English to develop fluency. And the second, build vocabulary through consistent practice and exposure to authentic English materials to reduce the need to switch. And the last, reflect on moments of code switching to become more aware of personal language limitation and set goals for improvement. I think that's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention. Back to the moderator.
Okay, so due to the limited time, I will Okay, so due to the limited time, thank you for the informative and well organized presentation. Now we will begin to the Q&A session. If anyone has a question, please raise your hand or type it in the chat. I will read aloud and to the presenter to answer. Okay, Aisha, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Rita, for the interesting and amazing presentation. So, based on the research findings, why is code switching considered as a helpful in the short term for managing English speaking anxiety, but potentially hinders the improvement of speaking proficiency in the long terms? Uh, is that clear? Okay, thank you.
Okay, I will answer directly. Before that, thank you for the question, Aisha. Okay, code switching helps in the short term because it provides a sense of comfort and reduces pressure for anxious learners, as expressed by participant 1, 2nd, and 4, who felt more comfortable, less afraid, or accepted and safe when code switching was allowed. It functioned as a temporary strategy to cope with anxiety and maintain communication fluency. However, code switching can hinder long-term speaking proficiency improvement because it might lead learners to become over-reliant on their native language or Bahasa Indonesia and discourage them from fully using and developing their English abilities. As one of our participants stated, it helps in the short term, but I think it can slow improvement if I use it too often. And also other participants state who doesn't want to be too dependent on it. This dependency can limit the exposure and practice necessary to achieve full fluency in English. Is it clear, Aisha?
Yes, so clear, and thank you for the new insight. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Back to the moderator.
Okay, thank you for addressing to those questions and for such a valuable discussion. To summarize this presentation has highlighted how code switching, particularly switching to Bahasa Indonesia, serve as a practical coping strategy for EFL learners dealing with speaking anxiety. It helps learners regain fluency, manage emotional pressure, and express themselves during high stakes tasks um, like presentation and discussion. While the strategy offers emotional relief and boosts confidence, the study also reminds us of the importance of mindful use so it doesn't hinder long-term language development. And additionally, the role of teachers and classroom policies appears to be crucial in shaping students' comfort and willingness to speak. And overall, the research gives us practical insight into how language flexibility can serve as both a learning bridge to a confidence booster for EFL learners. Okay, now I will hand over the moderator to the next host, Estalia, who will continue guiding the following presentation. Estalia, the time is yours. Okay, I'm sorry for the mistakes. Let's move on to the next presentation. I would like to invite the third group to present their research title, Sundani's Phonological Interference and its Impact on Students' English Speaking Performance. Please welcome the presenters. The time is yours.
Thank you, moderator. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alia Kansa. Here I'm going to present our research project titled Sundanese Phonological Interference and its Impact on Student English Speaking Performance. Next slide, please. So, English is a global language and skill in education and employment in Indonesia, especially in West Java. Students often face challenges in learning English due to their regional language background and Sundanese. So Sundanese has different phonological and grammatical structures from this English speaking. This research explores how Sundanese phonological interference affects student pronunciation and speaking performance. Next slide, please. So we identify two major problems faced by Sundanese speaking students. The first is phonological errors, especially in pronouncing English sounds not found in Sundanese like and think or the and this. And second, fluency and accuracy issues, where students hesitate, pause, or avoid certain words due to pronunciation difficulties. Next slide, please. So based on this issue, we focus our study on two main aspects. The first is phonological interference, how Sundanese pronunciation affects English sounds, and the second is speaking performance, how those pronunciation issues impact fluency and accuracy. Next slide, please. So to support our findings, we refer to several key studies. The first is a Flaky learning model, which explains how second language learners often replace unfamiliar L2 sounds with the closest one from their first language. And the second, Ye and Ryan 2020 highlight the importance of metalinguistic awareness. And then for Green 2021 explain how increased cognitive load from pronunciation difficulties can reduce fluency. And the last is Ushioda 2021 emphasized the link between confidence and pronunciation. Next slide, please. So in this study, you stimulated tasks based on previous research and theory. There were two main tasks. The first is pronunciation task, where students pronounce words like thing, this, work, and we observe phonemes, substitutions, or omissions. And the second speaking task, students describe a daily routine, told stories, or did role plays, and we evaluate fluency, clarity, and confidence. Although this data is stimulated, it follows patterns observed in real learners. Next slide, please. So, based on pronunciation tasks involving targeting phonemes, several recurring errors patterns were observed among Sundanese-speaking learners. The first is substitution of voiceless interdental fricative th. English words like think, birthday, and teeth were frequently pronounced with a T. Sounds become teen, birthday, and teeth. This due to the absence of the th sound in the Sundanese phonological inventory. And the second, substitution of a voice interdental fricative, like that. And words such as these and that were commonly pronounced as these and that. This reflects a phonological simplification tragedy where learners replace unfamiliar voice or fricatives with more familiar voice stops. And the third is omission or distortion of final consonant. Words like work, help, and first overrages to help, and fierce indicate a tendency to drop final consonant. This is a frequent interference error in learners whose L1 does not emphasize consonant codas in syllables. And then, these patterns are consistent with the speech learning model SLM proposed by Flake et al. 2022, which states that L2 learners are more likely to substitute unfamiliar L2 sounds with the closest equivalent from their L1, especially when the phonetic distinction is not perceived clearly. And then for the lack of phonological awareness, so many stimulated student reflection revealed that learners were unaware of their pronunciation errors. Common justification include, I thought that was the right you say it, it sounds like how we say it in Sundanese. I didn't know there was differences between thing and think. These aligns with Dorje and Ryan's 2020 argument that low metalinguistic awareness prevents learners from detecting L1 interference unless explicitly trained to recognize their differences. Next slide, please. So here the fluency and accuracy, our findings. The first is effects on fluency. So pronunciation difficulties had a clear impact on the fluency on students' spoken English. During spontaneous tasks such as storytelling or role plays, students often. So there's a hesitate or pause before saying words with difficult phonemes, and then repeated or rephrased sentences to avoid specific sounds, especially and like that, and then spoken in short, fragmented phrases to reduce error rates. So this reduces fluency aligns with findings by Green 2021, who suggests that when cognitive load increases, learners refer to L1 structures or simplify speech to cope with linguistic challenges. And then for the effects on accuracy, in terms of accuracy, students demonstrated a high frequency of mispronounced target words during the speaking task. These mispronunciations led to misunderstanding, particularly in interactive dialect tasks. This disrupted the natural rhythm and stress patterns of speech and caused reduced listener comprehension even when the grammar was correct. For instance, one stimulated dialect contained the phrase, I got to birthday party yesterday, combining phonological and tense errors, but with the key barrier being the unintelligible pronunciation of birthday. Next slide, please. So for the fluency and accuracy, the impact on confidence and participation. Students who consistently mispronounce keywords were observed to avoid volunteering during oral discussions, exhibit nervous body language or rush speech delivery, and then speak less in group settings due to fear of being corrected or misunderstood. These align with Ushioda 2021 motivational framework, which highlights how frequent language errors, especially phonological, can lead to reduced confidence and long-term disengagement from speaking tasks. And contrast, students who receive explicit phonology feedback and modeling, for example, through minimal pair drills or pronunciation apps, showed increased confidence and speaking fluency and stimulated post-task performance. Next slide, please. So this is our conclusion. In conclusion, Sundanese phonological interference plays a major role in how students speak English. It affects pronunciation, fluency, and confidence. Teachers and curriculum designer must consider these local language influence when teaching speaking skills. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I welcome any question, feedback, or suggestions.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. That was an insightful and informative explanation of your topic. Now we'll come to the Q&A session. If anyone from the audience has a question, please raise your hand or write it down in the chat box. Okay, seems like there's no question. Okay, I will read the conclusion. To conclude, the presentation from Group 3 has helped us better understand the impact of regional language interference, in this case, Sundanese, on English speaking performance. The study shows that phonological patterns from the mother tongue can significantly influence pronunciation, especially in sounds that do not exist in English. This research highlights the importance of phonological awareness and teaching strategies that help students recognize and overcome these barriers. It also reminds us that language learning is deeply connected to cultural and linguistic background, which must be acknowledged in English language instruction. Thank you once again to the presenters for sharing their findings. Um, Thank you. Now I will hand over the moderator to the next host, Estalia, who will continue guiding the following presentation. For Estalia, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Misa. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Estelle Agustin, and I'm thrilled to be your moderator for the next session. Today, we have a fantastic opportunity to hear from some researcher who will be sharing the exciting result of their studies. After each presentations, we will open the floor for a dedicated question and answer segment, so feel free to gather your thoughts and questions as our speaker present. To kick off the seminar, it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, which is Azra Shifa from Group 11. Their research is about English song between reality and assumption, their role in Indonesian's classroom. Please join me giving a warm virtual welcome to Azra Shifa and Group 11. Time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Today I would like to present our research about English songs between reality and assumption, their role in Indonesian classroom. Before that, I would like to uh, present the background. First is English songs have been used as the media in learning to develop student English skill. English songs are considered effective enough to be used to develop English language skill are the ground that music is an interesting and deserve media to so it's easier to understand and does not bore a student who learn it. It's common knowledge that currently ELT can be applied in many ways and media that can be used. The way in question is the type of learning style in the learning process. But before that, the first thing that needs to be done in ELT is know that kind of learning style in needed by student. This study will be explore the truth about the use of English song that can develop student English skill. This study is used for consider because it contains information based on facts and it's for previous research. Next slide. And we have four research questions. First is what the facts about use of song in English language learning. How can song affect student English skill in the classroom? What specific elements of song contribute to language retention and comprehension? And the last is how do student cultural backgrounds influence their engagement with understand of English song in the learning process. Next slide. And the research objective is exploring the reality and assumption about the use of song in English language learning and analyze the impact of song on student English skill development. Next slide. First, the literature review is teaching English in Indonesia often face various complex and deserve challenge. One of the main challenge that frequently arises is the lack of student motivation in learning foreign language. The introduction of song into English teaching can be effective tools to increase student motivation and engagement. This crucial, increasingly interconnected world, where the ability to communicate across cultures become highly valued skills. Next slide. Second is English skill. This is fundamental elements in language learning that serve as a bridge communication and understand. In this context, English language skills are usually divided in 4 categories such as speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Each of the skill not only has important role in language acquisition, but they are also interrelated and mutually supportive of each other. Next slide. The third is authentic material of ELT, media of learning resources at this time can be accessed from many places, but are still relevant to our life. This confer in the study conduct authentic material that can learning material taken for real sources and not specifically designed for education process. The use of authentic material in the English language teaching give students to the opportunity to interact with the language in a real life context. This improve their ability to understand and use the language effectively. Next slide. And the last is strategy for implementing. We have 3 strategies. Okay. First is adaptation and adoption. It means the teachers can adapt authentic materials to suit student ability level or directly adopt the materials to introduce the original context of language use. And the second is integration with learning activities. Learning activities such as role plays, group discussion, or presentation based on authentic material. And the last is use of technology. Next slide. Okay, the theory of language learning through music. First is cognitive theory. Agree that music can help improve language comprehension through the cognitive process involved in listening and singing. And the second is affective filter theory. According to Creation 1982, affective filter theory explains that student emotion can affect their ability to learn a language. Next slide. And we have 3 previous study. First is Kaporva 2020 explore that the effect of using songs in English language learning on student comprehension, and the second is Tuan Mai 2050 highlight the importance to motivate in the learning process. They found that students who engage in song-based learning had higher level or motivation compared to traditional learning methods. And the last is Campaign 2010 10 provide insight into how the use of song can improve student vocabulary acquisition and pronunciation. Next slide. Okay, we have a research method and the research design study will conduct using qualitative method, and the population was chosen student from university in general, and the data collection will be conducted through interview with a sample of university student and analyze using thematic analysis. Next slide. Okay, the sample is a random sampling where the student will be randomly selected and the data will be taken by interviewing some of the student. A student who become sampling will also be selective if they fall into the criteria where they have used song as learning media in the classroom. And the instrument were conducted with the number of students as a sample to explore the fact that English song can be used as an effective media in developing English language skills. Next slide. Okay, the first finding, English song is enhance core language skill because the participant widely agree that English song contribute positively to improving their English proficiency. Specific language skill that improve include pronunciation, listening, speaking, and vocabulary acquisition. And the second is song make language learning more enjoyable and engaging because the emotional appeal of music was a significant factor. Participants expressed that learning English through song was fun, entertaining, and more relatable. Next slide. Okay, learning style influence the effective of English song because auditory learners found song especially beneficial due to their preference for listening-based input. On the other hand, visual learners found this method less effective and sometimes struggle to stay engaged. And the last is song offer practical and accessible learning opportunities because song often contain slang, idiomatics, expression, and cultural references which help learners gain a deeper understanding of English real life. Next slide. For the discussion, the material can be come to generalize. In reality, English song is often found words that are less polite and have a broad meaning. Participants react to it by simply making it a knowledge. And the second, student ability. The change felt by the participant from before knowing English and song after knowing English song means that English song has a good impact. Next slide. Okay, student learning style with the technological that exists at this time, most participants choose audio as their learning style, and for those who don't use audio, they feel that audio is inconsistent. And last is English song not always good to use as a reference to study English. The use of authentic material as a media for learning English is considered quite appropriate because it's usually accessed to anyone and anytime, and it's considered as entertainment for the participant, but isn't entirely appropriate because it still requires standard media such as book to provide boundaries. Okay, that's all for our presentation. Back to moderator.
Okay, thank you so much, Azra, and also Group 11 for the amazing presentations. And now we open the floor for question and answer for our online audience. Please submit your question using chat box in Google Meet or raise your hand and open your microphone. As there are no questions from the audience, I will conclude the amazing presentation from Aiza Shifa and also Group 11. For the intriguing presentations on English songs between reality and assumption, their role in Indonesian classrooms, your research sheds light on the multi-phase impact on English song and language learning, affirming their significant role in boosting student engagement, improving core language skills like pronunciation and also vocabulary, and making the learning process more enjoyable. It's particularly insightful to note how learning styles influence the effectiveness of this medium and importance of addressing potential less polite language. The study provides valuable considerations for educators on how strategically leverage authentic materials like English song, while also acknowledging their limitations and the need for supplementary resources. We really appreciate your thoughtful explorations and also this dynamic topic. Now, without further delay, let's move on to our second presenter. It's my pleasure to introduce Putri Johar from the fifth group. Their work explores the impact of fictional novels in enhancing high school students' creative writing skills development. For Putri Johar and Group 5, time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Estalia. Uh, my name is Putri Johapret Asmara, and with my partner Hayati Nupus, we are from Group 5, and our topic of presentation today is the impact of fictional novels in enhancing high school students' creative writing skill development. So we begin with the introduction first. This is the background of our study. So creative writing is an important part of language learning. So this is especially for high school students, helps express their thoughts, develop their imagination, and improve their language skills. Students learn how to organize their ideas while gaining the confidence to communicate in their own style. Fictional novels are a great tool for this. They introduce students to real and relatable language, engaging stories, and characters they can connect with. This is the significance of our study. The first one is encouraging students' reading and writing skills. Fictional novels play a crucial role in developing students' reading and writing abilities and the insights for teachers in implementing fictional novels in ELT. This study also holds significance for educators by providing practical strategies for teaching fictional novels in ELT settings. We have literature review here. The first one is the theoretical framework we done for the creative writing on ELT. So creative writing is a valuable part of English language teaching because it helps students develop their language skills, express their ideas creatively, and stay engaged in learning. It allows students to connect with the target language on a deeper level by using it in unique ways to share their experiences and emotions. And then we have the role of fictional novels in stimulating creativity. Fictional novels are an excellent way to spark creativity, especially when used in ELT. They offer engaging stories, relatable characters, and vivid worlds that inspire students to think creatively and explore new ways of expressing themselves through language. And novels also draw the readers into compelling narratives that ignite curiosity and encourage them to dive deeper into imaginative thinking. And here we have the previous study. Research has shown that literature plays a powerful role in improving students' writing skills by exposing learners to descriptive passages, complex themes, and diverse perspectives. So, according to Hambali, it demonstrated how mind mapping paired with literary analysis improves students' ability to organize thoughts and express ideas. Another study by Sudana et al. In 2021 reveals that exploring the use of multimedia tools combined with literature to enhance engagement and coherence in writing. And then we move into the result and discussion. The first one, we have impact on students' creative writing skills. So fictional novels have a powerful impact on developing students' creative writing skills in ELT. So these novels serve as a valuable models for complex language and storytelling techniques and emotional depth, and encouraging students to expand their vocabulary and explore creative ways of expressing themselves. It also helps students improve descriptive writing through vivid imagery, enhance narrative skills by teaching story structure and character development, and also promote linguistic flexibility by exposing learners or the students to diverse styles of language use. And then we have improvements in language fluency, originality, and then coherence. So this usage of the fictional novels, it enables students to learn to express emotions and feelings, as well as supporting the implementation of effective learning, such as utilizing ideas, emotions, imaginations, and feelings into language learning in hopes to improve students' language skills. So according to Aprilia in 2022, it also the acquisition of creative writing skills is also a gradual process that occurs through practice. And we still have another for improvements. Alignment to the theory of behaviorism by B.F. Skinner, the repeated exposure, also known as thrill exposure to certain contents in this research, fictional literary works such as novels resulted in the improvement of language fluency among students who read novels, and where fictional novels are applied and implemented in the English learning curriculum. And also shown in our study, there are 5 students who are avid readers of fictional novels. So this exposure exposes students with diverse vocabulary, complex sentence structures, and nuanced dialogue, and which directly improves their language proficiency. And students also, a reader, develop stronger verbal abilities compared to non-fiction readers. Fiction fosters authentic creativity by enabling students to reinterpret established narratives. And with these skills, students have an understanding of the theme and overall content of the story aligned with the creative and critical thinking skills. And finally, fictions and literary works also allow readers and students to delve into intricacies of plot and connection. Thus, students can recognize a pattern and eventually think critically, finally resulting in interpretation and problem-solving skills. Finally, we have response and engagement levels. Students who read fictional novels have improved engagement levels when implementing and applying fictional novels in creative writing on ELT. There are reasons for it. First one is personal relevance and emotional connection. So students reported deeper involvement when novels allowed them to explore identity or critique social norms. So this immersion in fictional characters' perspective increased empathy and narrative investment, with students reportedly having enhanced critical skill. And then stated that engagement and response level increased and improved when learning language using fictional novels and studying creative writing. It's not only they feel connected and relevant, but also the students are more excited and interested in following a learning activity when incorporating a media that interests them, for example, like fictional novels. And then finally, learning motivation. It is aligned in the improvement of student motivation and engagement. Students also demonstrate a greater willingness to participate in creative writing activities in classroom when the novels are used as a foundation. And then exposure to diverse narratives motivates students by allowing them to connect with characters and themes that resonate with their own experiences. And finally, activities such as peer feedback and group discussions around fictional text enhance classroom dynamics and motivate students to refine their writing skills through shared learning experiences. And finally, this is the conclusion of our paper. So the findings of our paper strongly affirm that the integration of fictional novels into ELT plays a transformative role in enhancing students' creative writing skills. As Appleby asserts, engaging with literary text provides students with the opportunity to examine creative use of language, such as equipping them with the tools to develop their own voice in writing. And then this exposure also enables learners to internalize sophisticated vocabulary, stylistic elements, and narrative techniques that are not typically available in conventional textbooks or from the material alone. Okay, so that's all from our group. Thank you for the attention. We are welcoming any questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Putri Johar and Group 5 for that compelling presentations. Your findings certainly add a valuable perspective for us. So we'll now proceed with a dedicated Q&A sessions. Again, for our online audience, please submit your questions using the Q&A chat box or just raise your hand and open your microphone. All right, seems like there's no questions from the audience. Let's jump to the conclusions of our amazing speaker from Tutu Johar and also Group 5. For the presentations about the impact of fictional novels in enhancing high school students' creative writing skill, your research really articulates how engaging with a fictional narrative and can significantly boost students' language fluency, originality, and also the coherence in writing. It's evidence that integrating novels into English language teaching curriculum fosters not only linguistic development but also critical thinking, emotional connections, and also increased diffusion among the students. This study offers valuable insight for educators seeking innovative and engaging methods to cultivate creative writing abilities in their classroom. We really appreciate your thoughts and also your research on this important topic. Once again, thank you for the insight from your research to all of us from Group 5. Now, for the next presenter, I'd like to introduce Claudia Hanna from Group 13. Their research has concentrated on utilizing of Duolingo as an educational game to improve children's English skills at SMP Negeri 2 Pabuaran. To Claudia Hanna and Group 30, time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you, Estalia. It is a great honor and pleasure for me to speak here today. And now I am present a topic that blends technology, education, and engagement, entitled The Utilization of Duolingo as an Educational Game to Improve Children's English Skill at SMPN 2 Pabuaran. Next slide, please. So this is for our girl. I'm Claudia Hana Marpao, and then my teammates is Sabila Putri Wijaya. Next. So for the presentation, this is our content. First one is background, and then next, research objective, question, theoretical framework, research methodology, and conclusion. Next. So for the background of this topic, English has become an indispensable global language, serving as the primary medium for international communication, business, transaction, and technological advancement. In Indonesia, English is a compulsory subject in schools, reflecting its importance in preparing students for global competitive. However, despite its significance, many Indonesian students struggle with mastering English, particularly in areas such as vocabulary, grammar, and speaking proficiency. This is best according to Ministry of Education and Culture 2020. Okay, next. This is for our objective. First one is examine how Duolingo's gamification elements such as points, streaks, leaderboard, how influence students' motivation to learn English and sustain long-term engagement. And the second, uh, how Duolingo evaluate the extent to which contribution to vocabulary acquisition, grammar comprehension, listening skill, and pronunciation among Indonesian learners. Next. Okay, for the research question, the first one is how does Duolingo's gamified approach affect Indonesian student motivation and engagement in learning English? And to what extent does Duolingo improve student English language proficiency? And the last one is what are the limitations of Duolingo in developing comprehensive language competence? Okay, next. Okay, this is for our theoretical framework. You can see in this slide, Duolingo has established itself as one of the most prominent language learning platforms in the world, widely recognized for its innovative integration of gamification into a selection. So, Duolingo is a free language learning that uses game-based learning to teach users a variety of language, including English. This application launched in 2011. It is now one of the most popular educational apps in the App Store in the world with over 500 million users. Next, we can discuss about impact of gamification on English language learning. According to Hamari, found that students using gamified apps like Duolingo exhibit higher percentage and completed more lessons compared to those relying on traditional methods. Competitive features such as leaderboards and then foster a sense of achievement that drives consistent practice among learners. Duolingo can be a powerful supplemental tool to the English curriculum. This application helping students build confidence, improve their language proficiency, and develop independent learning habits through consistent and enjoyable practice. Okay, next. Next. Okay, this is for our population and sample at SMPN 2 Pabuaran. As you know, a public high school located in Subang Regency in Serang, Banten. And then for the population, we student participants were selected through certified random sampling to ensure representation across gender, male and female, 15 male and 15 female. Besides that, we see on their academic performance levels like high, medium, and low achievers based on previous English examination results. And the second, the participant comprised two distinct groups, 37th grade, 7th grade, age 12 until 13 years, with beginner to intermediate English proficiency in English. Okay, next. And the last one, for the all participants volunteer for the study after receiving detailed information about research objective and procedures. Okay, so Duolingo provides a fun and interactive environment that encourages daily practice without the pressure of a traditional classroom settings. It also offers immediate feedback, allowing students to learn from their mistake in real time. And then we can take that instrument. We use three, such as semi-structured interview, like conducted individually with two teacher and purposive sample of 15 students. And then second, we use focus group discussion or FGD. This session will conduct with group of 5 until 6 students, and then we see by the gender but mix in academic performance. And the last one, classroom observation. This systematic observation will conduct after 3 meetings. We teaching English for the 2 class, and then we can concluding that um, why the student cannot proficiency in English, and etc. Okay, next slide please. So for the data collection and analysis, during implementation, data was collected cycles weekly classroom observation, bi-weekly interviews with teacher participants, and monthly focus group discussion with student groups. Okay, next. Okay, we can, in conclusion, for this meeting, Duolingo has proven to be an effective tool, especially in SMPN 2 Pabuaran, enhancing English proficiency among Indonesian children, particularly in this area of vocabulary retention and grammar comprehension. Its gamified approach, which incorporate elements such as experience point or XP, streaks, and leaderboard. This is so much fun. Then make interactive application for the students, then increases motivation and engagement, making language learning an enjoyable and interactive process. Okay, that's all for me. Back to the moderator, Pastalia. Thank you for the attention. Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much, Claudia, Hannah, and also Group 13. We are now come to the Q&A section. For our online audience, please submit your questions to the chat box or raise your hand and open your microphone if you have any questions. As there are no questions for the 13 group, let me highlight the research and presentation from Group 30. The research presentations on the utilizations of Duolingo as educational game to improve children's English skills at SMP 2 Pabuaran is well presented. The research highlights the potential of gamified learning platform like Duolingo to significantly impact students' motivation and engagement in language acquisitions. It's clear that the strategic integrations of such as that tools can play a vital role in addressing the challenges in Indonesian students that they face in mastering English. Ultimately, it can contribute to their global competitiveness. The study provides valuable insight for educators considering the innovative approach to the language teaching, and also we really appreciate the work through this research. Again, thank you for Group 13 for the insightful research and also the presentations. Now for our final presenter of the sessions, I'd like to introduce Ms. Imelda Trisna Rahayu from Group 14. Their research has concentrated on the correlation between fiction reading frequency and passive English vocabulary. To Imelda and Group 14, the time and screen is yours.
All right, thank you, moderator. So, good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present our research today. This presentation is titled The Correlation Between Fiction Reading Frequency and Passive English Vocabulary. Shiva, please. All right. For the background, many students find traditional vocabulary learning method tedious and ineffective. They often rely on memorization, which lacks context and lead to poor retention. In contrast, fiction reading offers a more immersive and enjoyable experience. So, in the background, vocabulary is a key component of language mastery. Then, passive vocabulary recognition is essential for reading and listening. Fiction offers rich language input in context. Many Indonesian students look habit of reading fiction in English. And the last one is this study actually investigate whether reading fiction contributes to passive vocabulary development. So this is our problem statement. It's only one because we only focus on one topic. Is there any significant correlation between fiction reading frequency and passive English vocabulary among the students? From this problem, we have an objective to investigate whether there is a significant correlation between the frequency of fiction reading and the size of passive English vocabulary among the students. The next slide, this is our limitation. We only focus on 8th grade students at SMPN 1 Cibeber. We only analyze fiction reading frequency and passive vocabulary, and we don't cover active vocabulary or comprehension or gender preference. This is our significance of the study. We make it into three elements actually for the researchers as to research on English, foreign language vocabulary development and reading habits. For the English teacher, this actually offers basis to integrate fiction reading into teaching. And for the students, it encourages English fiction reading to improve vocabulary. This is our theoretical framework. The first one is vocabulary acquisition. We focus on Smith and Nation. Then we input the hypothesis based on creation theory and incidental learning through fiction like Montague, Sullivan, and Brown. Like that. So our research conducted for 2 points here. The first one is fiction reading frequency as TX and passive vocabulary mastery as dy. And then our research is based on creation theory. So this is our research methodology. We use a quantitative correlational design and population. We focus on grade 8 students at SMPN 1 Cibeber, Lebak, Banten. And our instrument, there are 2 instruments. The first one is questionnaire and vocabulary test. So this is the form of Pearson product moment correlation. In this research, we use this technique to find out the result. We use Pearson product moment correlation. As we know, the hypothesis testing is R and the R table. So the next slide. This is our result. It's actually a start from the form of Pearson product moment. Shiva. TR is 0.814. And to test the significance of this correlation, actually the value of R is compared to the R table at a significance level of 0.05 or 5% with degrees of freedom, or DF, is and minus 2 is 28. The first point is audible. The A is 0.05 or GF with GF as 28. It's 0.361. Since our calculated, I've told you it's 0.814 more. It's bigger than our table. So the correlation is significant. This is, yep, the next slide. This one. This is our research findings. A value a very strong correlation. So in our research, is actually there's a positive correlation between reading fiction frequency and passive English vocabulary with the R and R table. Yep. So the conclusions is this study conclude that there is a positive correlation between fiction reading frequency and passive English vocabulary. Students who read fiction more frequently tend to have a better understanding of vocabulary and context. Fiction provides rich and varied language input support incidental learning, making it a valuable tool for vocabulary development. Therefore, promoting regular fiction reading among students can be an effective strategy to enhance their English proficiency, especially in terms of passive vocabulary. So, I think that's the end of my presentation, and I will really happy. If you have a question, I give it back to the moderator.
All right, thank you so much, Imelda, and also Group 14 for the interesting and strong topic of the research. We've now come to the Q&A session. Again, if you guys have any recommendations or questions, you can just write down on the chat box or raise your hand and open your microphone. Okay, seems like there are no questions for the group. I will highlight today's presentation. So for the compelling presentations from group 14 about the correlation between fiction reading frequency and the passive English vocabulary, the research powerfully demonstrates a significant positive relationship, indicating that students who engage more often with the fictional text tend to develop a stronger of passive English vocabulary. This finding underscores the vital role of extensive reading in language acquisitions, particularly in providing contextualized and varied language input that supports incidental learning. It highlights the importance of encouraging English fiction reading as an effective and engaging strategy to enhance students' overall English proficiency. We appreciate your insightful contributions to understanding reading habits and also the vocabulary development. Thank you so much, Imelda and Group 14. And I would say thank you, a huge thank you to all of the presenter today. Starting from my sessions, there are Azra Shifa, Claudia, Putri Johar, and also Imelda Trisna Rahayu. I'd like to also extend a huge thank you for every presenter that already presenting their results of the research from the beginning, and to our dedicated audience for joining us in online meeting today for your thoughtful questions and also the active participations through the seminar. We hope you found today's seminar both informative and also inspiring. We encourage you to reflect on the insights and share, continue to explore the fascinating world of ELT. Thank you again for joining us, and we wish you a wonderful rest of your day. You are now free to disconnect or left the meeting room. Thank you.
Thank you.